All right. Hello there. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning out there somewhere in the world. It's a beautiful, beautiful day here. Happy Wednesday, or as some of you say, happy hump day. Here live in the studio for 87 Broadway in GI. This is Sound Off with E.V.E. and, of course, coming at you, the Regent's Choice and the People's Voice on WLTH Radio. And I'm just so glad to be here. It's an exciting day. I think excitement is always part of our day. At least it should be part of your day, part of the ingredients of your day. And for those of you that are following me on Twitter, if not, please follow me at official EveG. Or like my page, It's All About You with E.V.E. And, Sound Off, that's the name here of this show. Remember those that used to listen to me on Friday mornings from 6 to 9, that was what the show was called. It's All About You with E.V.E. But E.V.E. is still going to continue hard working with the community. And today, it's about another community, the community that actually has been fighting for peace and justice. And some of you have heard their previous interviews, but this time I have the blessing to have some of them here live in the studio. We are marking territory. GI needs to hear solutions. They too are going through what some of the parents in Chicago and the state of Illinois are going through, and we have them here live. And we're going to start in a few minutes. But first of all, I'd like to say the views expressed by the callers and the host of this show are not necessarily the views of WLTH Radio management, owners, and sponsors. And it's been such a great day, such a busy day. And I was busy on social media today. I have a couple of kids under my wings, and they're like my kids now. I adopted them. And so I have to put them out there in the light because that's just through the orders of God. I got to follow that. And so I have been putting them out there in the light, and they're going to be shining just as how they're supposed to because they have great music. You'll be hearing their song here as well. And you have to know that where there is a will, there is a way. And we're going to talk about there's a problem, but there's a solution, right? Right. So we have here in the studio live 3 of the representatives and parents from the Parents for Peace and Justice. And we will have a couple of guests also calling in. And we have faith leaders calling in as well. Because, see, we have to really, really, really put out the effort and the support of what's going on in our communities. But, too many times we talk about the problems and it's just all over media, especially all the negative things hit the media first before all the positive things come out. So today we're going to talk about both, the good and the bad. And of course, some of that bad comes with the ugly, unfortunately. So sit back, relax. Not unless you're driving, please do not relax too much. We don't want you to have any accidents. And for those of you that are passing through Fifth Avenue, if you haven't noticed, there was an accident just before my coming here. Someone actually went into the woods. I don't know how that impact happened, but I pray that nothing bad happened to the person that was driving or anyone in the vehicles for that matter, because we know that there's a lot of car accidents happening and they happen in the blink of an eye. I was involved in one in the blink of an eye. Here in our studios right outside, it happened in the blink of an eye. And just too many accidents happening, so please, please, please be careful if you are tuning in to WLTH. This is AM 1370, the Regent's Choice and the People's Voice. And, of course, the call-in number is 219-885-1371. And before we go any further and we start our interview, I'd like to please put out there and write down in your calendars tomorrow, if you know how important it is about voting and especially knowing who to vote for and educating yourself, tomorrow is the opportunity here in the WLTH studios live from 6 until, hopefully not too late. And we'll have here at the station lobby meet and greet the candidates that chose to come in and be questioned. And tomorrow is the time so you know who should be voted in to whatever part or chair that they're running for. Tomorrow is important. You come here. We'll have representatives not only from the city but from the county as well. So please come in tomorrow at 6 p.m. My show will not air, but this is important. We will have candidates here waiting for the queue. NA. And that's what's going to happen here. We'll have a panel, and it'll be broadcasted live as well. So come tomorrow. You don't have to be from Gary to be part of this, because voting is voting, and we have to really educate our voters how to vote, who to vote, and why to vote. And that's so important. So please join us here at WLTH Radio. We'll have some of the hosts joining us here tomorrow. And it's going to be a busy busy weekend as well. The 11th, we have a great show coming out for the kids, and I'll be part MC as well with Al Greer from Chicago. It's going to be another great event, and the kids that came to my show will be also performing that day as well, Saturday. So many things are going on in the community. It's just all great when they're positive, right? All right. Well, we're going to start in just a few minutes. We were actually waiting for someone, and hopefully she is going to get here safely, which that's what matters the most. Omar, if you have the call-in number, if you don't, I'll give it to you again. The conference number? Do you have it on with you? Okay. For those that are tuning in through via the Ustream, thank you so much for joining us. And anyone else, you can download the app to your smart device, the Ustream app, and it'll be ustream.tv if you don't have the app, and then from there you can type in WLTH or ustream.tv/channel/WLTH hyphen talk. So that's great. It's 10 minutes after the hour. It's certainly an exciting evening here tonight, and I'd like for you to just listen for a moment. But first of all, before we start with the interview, there's a great song that we're going to start it out with, and I mean, she's a beautiful spirit, beautiful angel. It's Ailey Torres, and her dad is a proud dad, and I'm a proud, she don't know it yet, I'm a proud aunt. Of her talent. And, you know, we have to bring good things to light. And some parents are hurting. Some parents are losing their children to nonsense, to crime, to violence. And this month is the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But, you know, as I said earlier in a conversation that I had with Robert Torres, one of my guests here, was about it all starts at home. Violence at home can lead to violence in the street. So we're going to start with this song into our interview. Good evening, everybody. How are you today?
Great.
Awesome, awesome. Let's hear Ailey for a second here. This is wonderful, never forgotten. And once you hear that, we're going to go for a quick pause and a moment of silence that I believe that is so deserving to all our loved ones that have been lost to violence.
That's what I'm meant to do. Your existence a gift, a story I must tell in order to transform this dark world. You're never forgotten. You're always on my mind. You're never forgotten. I must keep your story alive. I promise to transform this darkness into light. You're never forgotten. No, 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 no. Your spirit's alive. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. Do, 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 oh, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. I know you're in a better place now. I see your smile across the clouds. I feel you when the wind blows, the sun rays on my cheek. Oh, heaven is where we'll
All right. And, well, we're going to give a moment of silence for those of you that are listening here on WLTH Radio. This is a moment of silence for our loved ones, whether they're your children, your friends, your neighbors, your grandchildren, great-grandchildren that you've lost to violence. We're just going to give them a moment of silence, if you will. All right, and it is a great day, but it also can be a sad day. But it's almost like reviving or reliving a wound, right? I want to introduce my guest that I have here, and also I have someone on the line. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
This is Pastor Quintana from New Life
Oh.
316 in Chicago.
Okay, that's our first guest. Good afternoon or good evening, Pastor. Thank you for joining us here today. And you are part of a solution as well. And we also have Robert Torres.
Yes, I'm Robert Torres.
And I know that you are one of the founders and one of the ones that will blame for something so good that's going on in your community. Thank you for coming on, and then we'll get a chance to talk individually and what you're doing in the community. And we also have Elizabeth Ramirez. How are you today, young lady?
I'm doing good.
Wonderful. Good to see you here live in my studio. And we also have someone else that I just met today. And how are you, lady?
I am doing well.
Your
This
name?
is Irma Cornier.
Cornier. I didn't want to mispronounce your last name. Cornier. You are from the new 316, right?
New Life 316, yes. With
And
Pastor
that's-
Quintana.
With Pastor Quintana. That's
Chicago.
In Chicago. And that's up on the north side or west side? Or
Northwest side of Chicago, Belmont Cragen, 5120 West Fullerton, Chicago, Illinois 60639.
Okay, well, you guys know where that is if you want to go visit and be part of more solutions that's coming out out in the light. Well, thank you again for coming in and really putting this out there because too much silence is not good. And you guys are really making the noise. And that noise has to be louder and louder and louder until someone finally says, okay, I give up. I was one of them that hurt your child, or I was one of them that knew what happened to your child, or I was one of them that I shouldn't have kept quiet, but now I had it. I'm coming out because the truth shall set you free. And those that, and you'll get to hear, you've heard some of the stories already in the past. This is a part 3 of a continued journey that Parents for Peace and Justice is going to continue to be the front soldiers paving the way to peace and justice. Elizabeth, you're one of the leaders, one of the foot soldiers from Parents and Peace and Justice. Would you mind telling our listeners, how did that start? What happened?
Well, October 23rd, 2011, I lost my son due to the violence at his own birthday party. Someone came in with a mask, started shooting crazy all over, not directly at my son, but was shooting. My son gave his life for 2 other lives. It's been rough, it's been hard, and been praying to God for justice for my son because he didn't deserve that. My son was working and going to school because he wanted to become a coach. They took his dreams away. They took my baby away from me, and it's hard to sometimes talk about him because it hurts. I've been fighting for justice, and we want peace too at the same time. You know, I come to now know that it's not only about justice, it's about peace for the rest of our children. Right. You know, it's not about us, the grown-ups, it's about our kids. And I thank God for having someone reach out to me, and Robert Torres, you know, he reached out to me, he see me, he heard me crying, like you could say crying on Facebook for someone to help me. And he reached out and said, I don't know how I'm going to help you, but I'm going to help you. And since he's been in my life, doors been opening for us, not only for me, for other mothers and for our children. You know, our children are not numbers. They were human beings. They were someone's child, someone's father.
Exactly.
And I can't.
And there's so much that the Parents for Peace and Justice that are doing, and I'm praying for them to have peace, to find peace within them, because that is the hardest thing to go through. I can't imagine how it must be because I'm still blessed to have my kids here. And I'm glad that church faith leaders are coming together with Parents for Peace and Justice to help them get that peace within them because they need it. They need it so badly. As you heard Elizabeth, she is still feeling it. Robert, tell us how you got involved with this, and you have a great big heart, and I thank you for bringing this opportunity because there's a lot of parents in Northwest Indiana, in Illinois, in Chicago, everywhere, that they're losing their children to violence, but there's something different that you guys are doing. So tell us what you're all about, Robert.
Uh, well, just like Elizabeth was stating, it all started via Facebook. It was, I was seeing what Elizabeth Ramirez was posting on Facebook, and I was compelled to calling her, and I remember that I reached out to her, and I said I'd like to talk to you, and I remember calling her, and as she stated, I remember telling her, I don't know how I'm going to help you, but I'm going to help you. It was just, it moved me. It really did. It really touched my heart. And after talking to her, I told her a little bit about myself and what I do. And sure enough, when I hung up the phone, I remember calling Robert Renteria from the Body to the Boardroom. And I says, I need your help. And we sat down and we had a meeting with Jeannie Hernandez and Elizabeth Ramirez. And we're at today, by the grace of God. So.
And that was just God moving you.
Yeah, it sure was.
You were. It wasn't about Facebook. It was to find her
Sure,
and to
absolutely,
connect her with the Barrio Foundation and with Robert Renteria, and he'll be calling in a few minutes as well. Now, Ms. Cornier, how are you coming into this picture? How did you connect?
Well, we connected. Actually, if Pastor Quintana wants to speak first, because Pastor Quintana connected with Elizabeth
Okay.
when the incident originally happened. So I want the pastor to speak,
Okay.
and then I'll come in afterwards.
Sounds good. Pastor Quintana, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so how did you connect with the Parents for Peace and Justice? Where's your part? Because everybody's playing a part, and God's just connecting the dots.
Well, Elizabeth approached me on the anniversary of the death of her son, and our church was next door to where she was working at, and she came over and she said, would you kindly join us when we go out to the park to have a vigil and pray? There's going to be other parents there. And she told me the whole situation with her son, and I said, sure, I'll be more than happy to do it. I felt I was honored that she would ask me to do that, so we went out to the park, and we had a time together. We prayed, and from there on, we just started coming together to be a part of what's going on.
And that's great because, as I had mentioned earlier to Robert Torres, we were talking about the program and talking about what you all have been doing, and I had the blessing to be able to be at one of the marches that they've had with Pastor Choco, and that was so moving, and to even ended up on a hill at night, candlelight. That was peace.
Mm-hmm.
That was so peaceful, and our mothers needed that. Not just the community, but mainly our mothers needed that, especially to hear the word of God and have that faith and to help strengthen them to do what they have to do, to be those foot soldiers. You need faith, but you also need prayer warriors. You need church leaders. They're also going to be there for them, and I thank you, Pastor Quintana, to be there with them as well, because it's so needed.
Yeah,
Prayer
I think,
is so
we have the responsibility to stand in the gap with the people that are crying, with hurting people. In this case, moms and dads, of course, and moms who have lost their children to violence. We want to stand in the gap with them and join forces and provide resources so that we can diminish the violence that we are experiencing weekend after weekend. So I'm honored to be a part of the team.
And speaking of the violence weekend after weekend, it's almost sickening to just go to somebody's news feed and see so many got shot, so many got hurt on one given day, let alone on a weekend. And it's continuing. It's like, when is this going to stop? So there's something that's sticking out, and I really cannot forget about this before we go on with our interview, is that you guys are praying in the streets.
Yes, we are.
And that's literally bringing church to the streets.
Yep.
That's right.
And that's what moves me, and that's what has to be brought out in more cities. And you guys are leading the way to show the example to bring church to the streets, because we're not going to get those gang members or gang bangers or kids that are out there to do wrong. We're not going to get them to come in to a church that easily. So by bringing you, church leaders, Parents for Peace and Justice, and other followers to pray out on the street. I want to hear, how did that come out? It's wonderful that you're doing that, because people need prayer, and not everybody goes to church to get it. So you're bringing it to them.
Yeah, and I think that it's also a sign telling the gangbangers, the streets don't belong to you, the neighborhoods don't belong to you. We live here too. We're a part of the neighborhood, and you're going to see us out here in your face as often as we have
That's
to.
right. And you know what I was thinking, because that everything happens for a reason. You're going to touch some of those members with your prayers. You may not see it immediately, but they're going to say, wow, I actually need this, because I'm out here gangbanging because that's all I know.
Yep.
But now I got some parents out here that even maybe care about me too.
Yep.
Because they're only acting, or shall I say reacting to all they know, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And hopefully we can provide, outlets, resources, places for them to spend time just hanging out with a bunch of us who are church people and see that it's okay.
And yes, I'd like to see that continued, and as much as I can, I will continue to put you out in the light as well. So tell me, Robert or Elizabeth or anyone of you here, how did the prayer out in the streets start? How did that come out, which is great?
Well, there was an organization that was having some vigils on the street. And I remember I saw that, and I saw them how they were holding hands, and I saw how they were having prayers. And they were having another vigil. And so I told Elizabeth, I said, Elizabeth, let's join them. So I reached out via Facebook, the power of Facebook, right?
It's working for the good.
Yes,
That's
it's
awesome.
off for the positive, absolutely.
Yes.
So I reached out to the gentleman, and I said, listen, Parents of Peace and Justice, we'd love to join you. What is your next vigil? And when I went out there, I was just moved on how the prayer was on the street, and how they were literally bringing church onto the street. And they were singing songs, from church as well. And, we joined them, after that, I think about three times, 4 times. And now, Irma actually approached me, and we're actually having, and this is where Pastor comes in as well, Quintana comes in, and Irma is where they approach us, and we're actually having a vigil October the 25th at Third Parking Lot Location Church.
Now, let's back it up a bit. I know that it's taken years. How many years for
3
DJ?
years. It's going to be 3 years, October
3
23rd.
years. And there's some other mothers that have mentioned 7 years, 9 years, 11 years,
20
years. I don't want to bash people, but I want to say you guys had it hard with the law enforcement, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
They weren't listening to you, were they?
To them, our kids were just numbers. Just numbers. But me as a mother, I showed them that I was going constantly to the police station, calling them, wanting answer. One thing is for you to promise a mother that in 6 months your child's case is going to be solved, and it's going to be 3 years. You don't promise a mother that lost a child something that is not going to be accomplished. It can't, I cannot promise you something. I have to make sure I'm going to be able to do it. But don't promise me something's going to happen in 6 months when you know very well it's not going to happen.
Right.
You could have his picture. We all know who it is. But nothing has been done. But it's okay. I could accept that today. You know why? Because I believe in God.
Amen.
And God is going to help us. Not only me, other mothers. We're going to get our justice, And we're not here only for justice. We're here for peace. For the rest of our children. Our children, they have the right to live in a better world. And I'm going to keep. People ask me, once you get your justice, are you going to stop? No, I'm not. No, I can't.
Right.
If we started this, I'm all the way in. Until I know this is not going to happen from one day to the other, but doors are opening, and people are knowing that we mean business.
Right.
We want justice, we want peace, we want the kids again. And I always repeat this, and I always saying, it's not about us, it's about the children.
That's it.
That's
right.
They have a right to live in a better world. They have a right to go to school and not think, am I going to be the next target?
Right.
I want them to feel safe in their backyard.
Yeah. It's sad, Elizabeth. Not just school, but just in their front
in the front.
door from their home.
Yes.
You can't even be safe in the most prestigious
No.
neighborhoods anymore
No.
either.
The safety of our neighborhoods, kids walking to the store, coming out of school. They need to feel safe again. It's very important. Those days, parents don't want to let their children come out and play anymore.
And that's sad. In their own backyard.
That's right.
In their own backyard. I met a mother that lost her daughter, 7 years old, trying to sell candy, selling candy in front of her house because she wanted to take that trip to Walt Disney. A 7-year-old is not invited and came.
Right.
Like the stop killing. There's a saying that says stop killing our children for no reason.
Exactly.
You know.
There's so much violence out there. And Pastor Quintana, there's a lot of violence, not in just one neighborhood, one city, but all over the world.
All over the
Including for those that have to protect us or at least should be protecting us. They're getting violent too.
Yes, that's rampant, and they inspire each other, they influence each other, and even through social media, they just connect, and they think it's a great thing, and they're not even thinking about the consequences of what they're doing as far as them putting a life down or what's going to happen to them at such a young age.
Most definitely, most definitely. And prayer is always answered, just not when we want it to. With that, we're going to go for a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. This is Sound Off with E.V.E. here with Parents for Peace and Justice. We'll be right back after this.
All right now, you've been looking for something to do on a Saturday afternoon? Well, the time is here. The Dinah Lynn Big Show is hosting a citywide kids dance party and concert Saturday, October 11th from 4 to 8 for children ages 2 to 14 years old. It'll be held at the all-new John Will Anderson Boys and Girls Club located 2700 West 19th Avenue, right here in the city of Gary. It'll be a fun-filled afternoon of dancing, prizes, contests, face painting, balloons, and refreshments. It'll be something like that old school sock hop we used to have back in the day. And oh yeah, did I say it was all free? Free kids concert. It's something you want to do with your whole family. So parents, grab your kids' kids, your neighbors' kids, why not even your cousins' kids, and come on out Saturday, October 11th to the citywide kids dance party and concert. Sponsored in part by the D&D Foundation to Help End Homelessness, in partnership with the mayor of the city of Gary, Karen Freeman Wilson, Mayor. This event will be chaperoned by area fraternities and sororities, as well as candidates for re-election. This is a Dinah Lynn Big Show production.
It's the newest, hottest radio show on the airwaves, The Hatcher Empowerment Factor. The Hatcher Empowerment Factor, hosted by sisters and attorneys Reagan, Rachelle, and Renee Hatcher, discussing breaking news, local and national politics, the justice and injustice system, education, and much, much more. Listen live and call in every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Brought to you in part by Stella Shampoos and Conditioners. The Hatcher Empowerment Factor, Sundays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on the Region's Choice and the People's Voice, WLTH.
Powell Coleman Funeral Home, located at 3200 West 15th Avenue in Gary, Indiana. He has been serving families faithfully during their time of bereavement and need. At Powell Coleman Funeral Home, we provide prompt service as we go above and beyond to meet your loved one's final wishes. Please call us at 219-885-5529. Day or night, our kind, compassionate, understanding staff is available to give advice and encouragement. At Powell Coleman Funeral Home, we'll provide you with a helping hand and the highest quality of service. You are treated as family. Please call Powell Coleman Funeral Home at 219-885-5529 to meet all of your needs during your time of bereavement. Save the number in your phone. You never know when you need a good, compassionate, and kind funeral home.
Pray for
for the people that's clueless. Youngest just keep getting foolish, getting influenced by music. These lives just keep getting ruined, cause there's nobody to guide them. Got them in the right direction, so this microphone's my item to help them through their depressions. Cause them youngest all of the blocks, they be waking up to them shots. Talking about we ain't loving them thoughts. That's why everything that you got. Selling them drugs don't mean that you quiet. Talking about real man, I'm like stop. Being a real man when you work, keeping that family second, God first. And generation is changing. 10-year-olds out there banging. Do you hear what I'm saying? That's why I say we need praying. Youngest needing the difference. Father, I say we need help. They don't know what they do because they young and confused. And the devil's amused. Wait to the end of the show. Tell them you reap what you sow. I think that's something he know. Play with fire, get burned. You the one to blame, will make a change. But if they try to stop me like a lion, you can't tame this.
Youngins on my block, youngins. Man, I see them. Youngins on my block, youngins. Man, I see them. Youngins on my block, youngins. Man, I see them. Youngins. Man, I see them. Youngins. Man, I see them. Youngins on my block, youngins. Man, I'm praying for these youngins on my block, youngins. Man, I wanna reach these youngins on my block, youngins. Man, I wanna say these youngins on my block, youngins. Man, I'm praying for these youngins.
And that's a message that exactly talks about what we're talking about, our youngins, our kids that are, some of them are looking for the wrong things out in the street, as we were just talking during commercials, looking for love in all the wrong places. And love is an ingredient that's missing in a lot of families. Sometimes even in the elite families. Their love is in material things. They buy their children love. And parents for peace and justice bring the real love out into the streets through prayer. And speaking of prayer, you guys are talking about a vigil, right?
That's correct.
Tell us a little more about that.
So the vigil that we're doing, we're actually going to do it on October 25th. That's going to be in the Belmont-Cragen area. That's going to be at Pastor Quintana's New Life Church, New Life 316. We had met at another vigil, the one that you were talking about earlier at Chocos, the one that was in Humboldt Park. Then I went to another one that was in Crystal and Keeler, and I told him, hey, you got to bring it up here, Northwest Side. And I was like, Elizabeth, she's from over here, Northwest Side. And I was like, Robert, you're from up here, the Northwest Side. We got to bring up here. There's crime everywhere. So I spoke to the pastor and I told him, listen, pastor, we have to do a partnership. We have to do this up here because it's not only in the South Side, the West Side, it's all over the city of Chicago, but it needs to be recognized here as well in the Belmont-Cragen area. And that's where there's been a lot of shootings lately since the summertime, nonstop shootings. And I've gone around, I've door knocked, and I've spoken to people, and they were telling me, oh, there was a shooting last week. Oh, did you hear about this other shooting? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry that this happened, that you lost this individual within that Belmont-Cragen area. So we want to bring awareness back, and what we're doing is on October 25th, which is a Saturday from 4 to 6, we have these two huge parking lots right across the street from 5120 West Fullerton in Chicago. And what we're doing is we're going a huge prayer vigil. We're going to have a choir there. We're going to have an ensemble. They're going to be singing. Hopefully, we'll have your family member that she's going to be there present, and she can sing as well. And then we're going to have a couple people speaking. And we're trying to bring awareness back to the people and letting them know. Recently, I did an event. It was a car show, September 27th. But what it was a car show. We wanted to raise awareness about the violence that they have. And we had Julia, that she's actually the sibling of an individual that was lost to violence. And we were explaining how this needs to be taken care of. This needs to be done the right way. You know, we have these spiritual leaders. We have the community leaders. Those are the real leaders. That's who I consider the real leaders, especially of our city of Chicago. So these pastors, just like Pastor Quintana, Pastor Choco, all these individuals, we're working together. And I told them to bring it back over here, to bring us over here. So Pastor Quintana is helping as well as with me, and we're both doing this, and we organized this huge event that we're going to be having on October the 25th, and it's just to let everybody know how important it is. We raised awareness at the car show as well, that was on September 27th, and we actually had people come up to Parents of Peace and Justice. I was like, guys, come on, we're all family here. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
We're all one human race.
That's
we
right.
have to be there for one another. I even had my grandfather, Bishop Tomas Lozada, he actually prayed. And then I had someone also, Omar Rodriguez. He is the barbershop owner of Luquillo on Division Street. I had him pray as well. And I was like, you know what? We're all family. Todos somos familia. We have to be here for one another.
Right.
You see something, you got to say something. We have to protect one another. Somos la familia, en Cristo.
And speaking of that, that's the problem with a lot of people. They'll see something but won't say anything. They're so quick now. Oh, let me capture that. But back in the days, unfortunately, there wasn't that where you could easily videotape crimes, things going on, fights, all the violence. They're so quick to want to air that out into the social media. But let's be quick to also air out in the media, in the social media, parents for peace and justice, parents that want peace in their heart. And this is my thought, Pastor Quintana, and I even mentioned it to Robert. Some of these parents, I don't know personally, they've lost a loved one, probably didn't go to church, probably didn't have the faith they have now. If it wasn't for now an organization that's called Parents for Peace and Justice. That now you have a stronger community together to help you build that faith, go to church, and be heard.
Yep, and I think that, we can learn a lot from people who have lost a loved one. They have a lot to say. They're voices that need to be heard, so that we who haven't gone through that can get an idea of what they're going through and at least stand there with them. And like you said, this experience has changed their life in a drastic way, and they're still healing from the wounds, and they will always hurt for their loved one. But we want to be there to stand with them and let them know that we want them to have peace in their heart, and we want to be there, pray with them, stand with them, and know that they have a family inside the church.
And I actually wanted to add to that, and it's important what Pastor said, Quintana, is that we keep their voices alive. And by, we're so humbled and thankful for your airwaves and for, all the airwaves that have been opening up for these mothers, because there is hope when their voices are heard, and that's what they feel. And so we need to keep that alive. And yes, we learn from that. I have learned from that, and Pastor Quintana is so on the money with that we need to continue to hear them. That way we can understand what they're feeling. And I hear the roller coaster and emotional rides from Elizabeth. I talk to her every day, and Jeannie Hernandez and Monica and all these mothers that actually that I talk to, and that you hear them, and they're going through so much pain. So their voices, as they often say, is that they're their children's voice. Right. And they want to continue to keep that alive. And by being on the airwaves and the newspapers and on radio stations and TV, there is hope. And together in unity, we can bring change to our community.
That's right. That's what community stands for, come in unity.
That's right.
That's my word. And we all need to come together as a community. Not because you're in Illinois. Look, you're here in Indiana,
That's right.
in Gary, Indiana, because it's happening here as well in Gary, Indiana. At one point in time, this city was mentioned or named as the capital city, murder capital city.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
At one point in time. It's no longer that. But why should we praise something like that? We wouldn't want any city to be a number one of something negative, of something so heinous as that, as killing someone cold-blooded and then run away. Pastor Quintana, help me out here with the prayers, that we are going to continue with prayers, because as I was mentioning, we all want justice. We want the police officers to catch them and lock them up. And some parents may still be bitter about it. Some parents may still have hate in their heart. That's something that we should get rid of, replace that with love, replace that with prayer. Because with prayer, I believe, and help me out here, because you're a prayer leader here and church leader, that they will eventually even turn themselves in.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that pain is something that it goes across all racial lines, and the human being is not capable of ending pain by himself or herself. We need to go to God, who is the supreme being, our creator, and get comfort from him, because he's the one that can give comfort to our hearts that are broken and are crying. All we can provide is friendship, love, care, and be there with you. But the only one that can go into the spirit of a person is God himself. So we need to come to him and say, Lord, I cannot get rid of this pain, and I don't want to live my life in a bitter state. I'm going to choose to turn this over to you, and we will do what we can on this side, but on your side, you're the one that can give me the peace that I don't have at this time. So we definitely have to come to God as a supreme being to give comfort in the areas that we cannot provide comfort.
That's right. Amen to that. And that's what we, and I'll include myself as part of Parents for Peace and Justice. I am a parent, and through grace of God, I have peace. Even through whatever turmoils or storms that may come my way, it's okay. And not everybody can do that. Some say, well, Eve, that's you. I'm me and you're you. But you know what I can do, so can you.
Yeah.
And that's through strength and faith. And as I told Elizabeth, give God 100%. Let it all to him. Just say, you take over. I will let you just lead me. And wherever I go, you're that leader, and we're going to get there.
Yeah, because the anger can turn into bitterness if not dealt with, and that creates a root of bitterness, which will make you a hateful person the rest of your life, and to such a point where it can consume you in such a way if you don't see justice done before your eyes in your days while you're alive. So yeah, we can trust and hope that the officials in the city and the police department, that they can do whatever they're supposed to do. But if they don't do it, we need to do what we have to in order to stay healthy as much as possible, because we need to continue moving on in the midst of pain.
Exactly. And God is only just preparing you for what's to come. And so, yes, we see your pain. We feel your pain. I just can't feel it personally.
Yes.
But you have to let it all go. Continue to pray in the streets. That is something that GI, Hammond, East Chicago, everywhere where there's violence, go out there and pray. But there's solutions. You guys are part of the solution. There's something else that you guys also found, and that's Robert. The other Robert, right?
That's right, yeah.
Robert Renteria. He's on the line as well. And I found him in 2008 when he first brought his book out, and that's part of the solution as well. What made you guys want to connect with that as well? Tell us, how did that happen, Robert Torres? And we got Robert Renteria on the line too, right?
Yeah, we thought, first and foremost, I also met Robert via Facebook, the power of social media. And I remember, reading his book, and I myself started using it and giving them out on behalf of my business. And when I met Elizabeth and I reached out to Robert, I think one of the most important, the power of education is so important. And the book, the Barrio book, speaks their language. It speaks to young men because, as I often say, a doctor can take care of somebody that's sick, but you can't take care of a youth that's been through a situation like gangbanging or drug dealing because he never walked that life.
Exactly.
But when you've walked that life, you have their attention. And when you have their attention, then you're able to bring change to them. And I call it the hook. I call it the hook. Because let's be honest, a lot of young kids don't feel cool carrying the Bible, right? Mm-hmm. But if we can hook them and we can speak their language and we can have them change their life so we can walk them on the right path and bring them to God, then we've done our job. We've changed lives. And that's the power of the Barrio book.
Exactly. And there's more solutions coming to light, just like the kids, the Christian rappers, bringing the positive word to the streets. That's their language, their dress code, their music, just the words that they quite don't hear often, if at all.
Sure.
Now, we have Robert Renteria on the line. Are you here with us?
How you doing, Eve? How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Well, Robert Renteria is an author, as Robert Torres had mentioned, from the barrio to the boardroom, little barrio, mi barrio. He's just going to keep going and going and going. But, it's not so much even about Robert Renteria or the barrio. It's what's in it, the ingredient that most kids need, which is a story that they can relate to, as you mentioned, Robert Torres.
Absolutely.
Tell us how you got involved, and now that you're involved, I see you in the marches as well, Robert, here with Parents for Peace and Justice.
Well, yes, when Robert Torres introduced me to Elizabeth and Jeannie and Julia and some of the other ladies, I got very angry because these kids are not numbers, and the women do not have to be silent voices. You see, we have thousands of kids who will never get a chance to see the Easter Bunny or even have a birthday or Christmas or Thanksgiving, make it to prom or to graduate or get married or have their own kids, and that is unacceptable. So leaders just don't talk the talk, they walk the walk, and it's time for us to quit putting Band-Aids on bullet wounds, and we need to stand together and take our street back and be champions of this place that we call home, and that's why I'm involved.
And I want to thank you for being involved and being part of the solution, as many people should want to be part of the solution. Enough of the problems, and when we see it, we hear it, we almost taste it because it's so close to you. And Robert, I thank you again for being part of the Parents for Peace and Justice. That had it not been for you, this is how I got connected with the Parents for Peace and Justice, and Robert Torres and Elizabeth and everyone else that I have met personally since the event that you had up at on the north side, I think it was, right? Or
March, with Pastor Choco. And New Life Covenant,
no, that one's before that, where I met you finally.
yes.
Even though you had already been on the radio, it was another event that you guys had. And God is only working through us because that's how it works. God works through people. And, some people would say God works in mysterious ways. Well, there's nothing mysterious here, is there?
Right.
He's working through all of you, and we're going to continue to work through all of you. And we also want to thank the other media lines. You know what? I know that Parents for Peace and Justice have been suffering and trying to get heard or trying to be the voice out there, and the police didn't want to hear. The law enforcement just kept pushing it under the rug and just ignored it. And now here comes Crime Stoppers. I can't bash all police officers. We got the good and the bad everywhere. But had it not, and correct me if I'm wrong, had it not been for Crime Stoppers, maybe the law enforcement still would not listen. What are you saying? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, they've played a big part, and we're so grateful and humble that Crime Stopper is helping. As a matter of fact, this Saturday we'll have Monica. Monica's last name is I'm going blank, but her son David will be this Saturday aired on Channel 50 at 11 p.m. Thanks to Lisette from Crime Stopper. So it has been a blessing. And a door opener for Parents of Peace and Justice and the mothers. We've had up to 3 on the episode, and now we're going to have a 4th that we just got the great news today for Jeannie Hernandez.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll be also on the episode as well. So yeah, the doors have really opened, and matter of fact, talking about Cicero, we're also going to be having a visual in Cicero that they just accepted as well. Just the blessings continue to, and the doors continue to open up for us, and Elizabeth Ramirez has played a big part of that because she has really moved me beyond movement, and she really inspires so many mothers, and she is a leader in so many ways.
Yes, she is. And Elizabeth, we're going to continue to be with you to help build that strength that you so much need, to continue to be there in that voice, not only for DJ, but for the rest of the families that just don't have that courage or that strength or even that faith to say that there be peace and there will be justice, because we do have one almighty judge, and he's going to take care of them. Am I right, Pastor Quintana?
Right.
Eve, I'd like to thank you, especially Eve, and another special thank you to a Superstation Network who really put us out there on a national platform. So special thank you, and God bless her, producer Vicki Thomas from WGN, who really cares and really wants to help make a difference. Thank you, Vicki Thomas, if you're listening.
And for those that are just tuning in or wondering what's this all about, this is Sound Off with E.V.E. here on WLTH Radio AM 1370. And we do have Vicki here, and she's videotaping part of the show because they are covering a story on Parents for Peace and Justice. And I'm just blessed to have her here in the studio. And as Robert said, national TV, this is just a blessing, because when we open doors for others, our doors open on their own. Through the grace of God. And with that, we're going to go for a quick commercial song. We'll be right back here on Sound Off with E.V.E.
Victory, victory, they said we ain't gon' make it. Since we got some faith, they been cooling out on that hate. We ain't even bragging, we just glad to say that we made it. We ain't even bragging, we just glad to say that we got that victory. Victory, they said we ain't gon' make it. Since we got some faith, they been cooling out on that hate. We ain't even bragging, we just glad to say that we made it. We ain't even bragging, we just glad. The pain is what I feel. I wake up, this isn't real. But I gotta keep myself pushing towards anything and everything that's gonna get the enemy to move over, lost in direction. I got confession. Wake up every morning, look at my reflection. Think about whenever I'm gonna learn this lesson. I got an angel, that is my blessing. Somewhere in heaven, so I thank God that I made it with no weapon shall prosper. He's my provider, he shines a light in the dark. That's a guide who knows what I'm after. When it come to haters, I ghost like Casper. Better believe that we coming right after. I reach the top and then I be in laughter. And they think I'm finished, never be done till the day I win it. It may take a while, it's just the beginning. Thanks to your grace, I know I've been sinning. Now we say, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Father. Praise God. I'm grinding harder. Victory, victory, they said we ain't gon' make it. Since we got some faith, they been cooling out on that hate. We ain't even bragging, we just glad to say that we made it. We ain't even bragging, we just glad to say that we got that victory. Victory, they said we ain't gon' make it. Since we got some faith, they been cooling out on that hate. We ain't even bragging, we just glad to say that we made it. We ain't even bragging, we just glad. Oh, I won't make it look at me now. Yep, I'm shining, yep, the Simon. Keep my head up when I'm facing larger crowds. Never gonna back down, hold my ground. Can't you hear the sound?
All right, welcome back to WLTH. This is Sound Off with E.V.E. here on WLTH Radio, the Region's Choice and the People's Voice. And I am just so blessed to even be here in this desk, in front of this camera, and in front of another WGN News camera. That's an awesome blessing. Thank you so much, Vicki, for taking the time and coming out here, because you're part of the solution as well. See, media tends to distort things, mess things up sometimes, and have you thinking one way, persuade you to be another way. But this way is the best way. Can I get an amen?
That's right, amen.
That's right, that's right. And I don't know if anybody have been wanting to call, if the lines are open, 219-885-1371. We have just a few minutes. I have somebody calling me on my cell phone, but sorry, can't take that one. Now, where are we going with this? Where are you, Elizabeth and Robert and E.V.E. and Pastor Quintana? Where are you going to go with this? I know this is only the beginning of the journey, and it's not going to be an ending to it. It's life is a never-ending work in progress. So is Parents for Peace and Justice.
That's right.
Where are you going with this? Before we go, tell us.
Well, yeah, we want to create, we definitely want to create workshops. We want to bring awareness. We want to help the youth. There's so much conversation on what we're having, constantly brainstorming on a constant basis. Every day, talking to Elizabeth, talking to Robert, and other leaders, even Irma and Pastor Quintana, and Pastor Ruben, other organizations. We want to be able to empower our youth. So yeah, we're definitely trying to to continue to help each other and bring in the awareness. So
Okay.
on the visual itself is not also to.
I'm going to correct you.
Sure.
You're not trying.
We're doing it.
You're doing it.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
It's one or the other. You're doing it or you're not doing it. And when people say I'm trying, I got to correct you. I'm sorry. And it's all for the good.
That's right.
So you're not trying. You are doing it.
That's right.
You're out there. You're on the streets praying.
That's right.
Anything's come out of that. I'm sure you probably shocked a few people, right?
Oh yeah, we've definitely, I've seen the reaction of some people that have been at these visuals and the reaction when they leave. And that's what we want to do. We want to also have the resource for them at these visuals where they're able to interact with us before and after. So we're going to have tables where they're able to speak and interact with us before and after, the community, because the community wants to speak to people. And that's what we've encountered and seen, that they really want to talk to parents and like Robert and Taria and myself and Irma, Pastor Quintana, to even for prayer. So we want to be there before and after the visual to interact with the community.
And tell us real quick, when is the visual and where?
The video is going to be at New Life 316, 5120 West Fullerton. It's going to be on October the 25th. It's going to be from 4 to 6 p.m. Parking lot's right across the street of 5120.
And I got to ask you to do something here for us, Elizabeth, as you do it every time. Can you please send a message to our communities, to everybody?
This is to the parents. Please get involved in your children's life. Be there for them. Show them love. Like that, they don't go looking for the wrong love in the streets. You know, it doesn't take that much for you to sit down with your children and ask them how was their day at school, how was their day at work. They need your love. Take time for them, please. I showed my child a lot of love. I was there for him. And I want you to show your kids love. And you know, please, again, sit with them and let them ask them, how was your day at school? How was your day at work? You know, I love you. In which way could I help you do your work? You know, and just spend time with them. Have dinner with them. That's what they're looking for. And you know, you got to show your kids love at home in order for them not to go to the streets and look for the wrong love. You know, I'm going to say this real quick. While I was out there trying to find out who killed my son, I was passing out a flyer with a reward. And this kid, he was involved in a gang, and I was able to walk up to him and ask him, could I ask you a question? He said, sure. And I asked him, what made you become a gang member? He goes, excuse me, my father, he's an addict, and my mother's an alcoholic, and she works, you know, and there's no time, there's no love for us. So he chooses to go to the street looking for love. That wasn't even the right love. But me, as a complete stranger, I was able to I asked him if I could give him a hug, and he told me, yes. Was I scared when I was giving him the hug? Yes. When he was walking behind me, yes, I was very scared. But I gave him a tool on which way of showing him that from him being involved in a gang, his life could change. You see, nobody is perfect in this world. God gives us a second chance. God gave him a second chance. He read this book. This book, it talks about a lot of people involved in gangs, doing things they're not supposed to do. And it touched this kid's heart that this kid was able to change his lifestyle completely. He turned his life over to Christ. He's working a 40-hour job. God is using us, you know, for us to touch these young kids in the streets that are involved in gangs. You know, people ask me, what would I do when I have the person that killed my son in front of me? You know what? I was angry in the beginning. I'm not going to lie. I was only just thinking about justice. But today, you know, I'm thinking about justice and peace and change. You know why? Because we have other children. I have my daughter, my granddaughter, and I see other kids that deserve to live in a better world where there's peace.
And that message is for you. And remember that is not the action that matters, is the reaction that does. That will change your life, good, bad, or indifferent. Before you react as a parent or as a child, you need to step back and be calm about things, because there's enough violence already out there, and we need to share our love. That heart that God gave us was to love, not to hate.
Correct.
And as I always say, don't hate, just appreciate. And with that, guys, our time is up. Thank you so much for coming. Again, this is not the end of the journey. This is just the beginning. Thank you for listening here on WLTH Radio AM 1370, the Region's Choice and the People's Voice. And of course, tomorrow, don't forget, from 6 until station lobby meet and greet all candidates. You guys be well out there. Be safe. Gotta love life, because it's what I do. And remember to respect yourself and love yourself so that you can get the same out there. Peace.
A story I must tell.